Hey Steelers fans, I'm Thomas Mont. Welcome to our Pittsburgh Steelers news or video here on a Wednesday. It's super early, and I want to emphasize that, but today's video I think is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to try and project the final 53-man roster for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is going to happen many months in the future from now. So, will I get things right? Will I get things wrong? We can come back to this video when the actual 53-man roster comes out. We'll get into my projections here in just one second. First, though, I want to do a trade mailbag. You guys have some trade ideas, some players you want to trade for, maybe some mock trades you want me to break down? Send me your trade ideas down below right now in the comments section. I'm going to make a video based on your trade ideas in the future. Alright, so as I mentioned, I want to get into my roster projection. And we're going to do this video more times than one in the future because the roster projection stuff is going to change. They might cut some people, they might add some people. You know, people might play better or worse at training camp. And so this is my best guess as of right now. I'm sure there are things that are wrong here, but based on what we've heard from OTAs and after the draft and everything, I wanted to give you my first shot at the Steelers' final 53-man roster. So, to jump right in, we'll go position by position, tell you who makes it, and give you the final overall depth charts. We'll start with quarterback. I think this is how it's going to go. I see Mitch Trubisky winning the job, being the starter week one. Will he be the starter the entire year? Probably not, but Kenny Pickett will be the backup and most likely the, obviously, heir to the throne that is the Steelers' quarterback spot. What you don't see there is Mason Rudolph. Obviously, he is not on my final 53-man roster, and I think that this is something we've talked about in the past. Rudolph needs to go somewhere else, and it's not his fault. I think Mason Rudolph can be a career backup in this league. I think he maybe one day could push to start. I don't know. I'm not a big Rudolph guy, but very clearly with the Pickett draft pick, the signing of Trubisky, there just isn't enough room for him. And I know he signed it, in a one-year extension, but I would be very, very surprised if he's on the final roster come, week one of the 2022 season. Barring an injury or barring Kenny Pickett just being absolutely terrible, which all signs from OTAs say he's looked pretty darn good, I think they eventually trade Mason Rudolph, and so we will make a pretty bold early prediction saying he's not going to be on the final roster. We'll do running backs next here. First, though, add break pin comment down below. Grade the current Steelers roster. How are you feeling about the guys in the Steelers uniforms who are trying to fight for roster spots right now? A, B, C, D, or F, give me your grade in the comments section. Let's move over here to running backs. They keep 4, but 3.5, because obviously Derek Watt is a fullback. We slide him in here to the running back depth chart. Harris 1, Snell 2, Mateo Durant is 3, and you do not see Anthony McFarland as he's the one who's going to go ahead and be cut in this roster projection. I think it's best if they, mutually part ways. I think that he can be, a running back on a different depth chart, different roster. The running back spot is kind of interesting because they're very clearly just going to, feed Najee Harris, and they're going to load up Najee Harris and give him a ton of carries, and very, very rarely will you see someone else go ahead and get a carry. Snell will get one here and there. And sure, McFarland could easily make the roster and be the third running back, but I think Durant is going to go ahead and do that just because I do think McFarland, is going to want to go somewhere else. He's going to end up getting cut and signed pretty darn quickly. Okay, we're trying to be the #1 Steelers YouTube channel on the entire platform. If you guys want to help us make and become that, go down below and subscribe, as we do plenty of stuff like this. Again, I'm telling you, I don't know if I'm going to be right on my roster projections, but you know for sure that I'm going to do more roster projection videos with updates and changes in the future, and so to be a part of that, go down below and subscribe, hit the notification bell as well. All right, wide receivers, very interesting depth chart position here. I think they keep 6, maybe 7. Let's go with 6, though, for today's video. Johnson, Claypool are your 2 starters. Pickens is going to push to be a starter by the end of the year. I'm very excited to see what he is able to do. Calvin Austin, obviously, there as well. Miles Boykin is kind of the one to keep an eye on here as he slides in at number 6. I said in a video earlier last week, it's kind of this Boykin versus Anthony Miller battle for the final wide receiver spot, or maybe the 5th wide receiver spot. I think Boykin gets a little bit more of an upside due to his returning ability. I'm not going to say a little bit more, I'm not going to say he's much better than Anthony Miller, but I do think the return ability does kind of give him an edge. I would predict that he makes the final roster and Miller goes ahead and gets released. Okay, tight ends, very simple. They're very easy. You have Pat Freiermuth, obviously Zach Gentry, and Connor Hayward. Not much to say there. Freiermuth is your 1. Not a lot of competition overall. Those are going to be your 3 tight ends. We can be quick on that one, as it's probably the least dramatic depth chart of maybe the entire roster so far for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We know it'll be Freiermuth, Gentry, and Connor Hayward. Okay, offensive line. I have 8 right now. There is room for 9 if you wanted to kind of mix things up a little bit. Maybe take one less receiver, one less linebacker. Either way, you could have a 9th, but I see 8 right now. Moore, Dotson, Cole, James Daniels, and Chooks are going to be obviously your starters. Then Kendrick Green is kind of the one of the backups that I want to go ahead and focus in and emphasize here. He's going to try to get a starting job. They're trying him over at the guard position. Will he actually beat out, a Dotson or James Daniels? Probably not. Like, I don't think it's going to happen. I think he will end up being a backup. They played him at center a little bit there, but obviously the addition of Mason Cole from Minnesota is kind of the hope in terms of your center position. But Green is going to be in an interesting spot, I think, this training camp. It's someone to watch during training camp. If he plays great, they're going to start him. But if he, struggles a little bit, doesn't really play well at guard, then I think your starters are going to be, as you saw on your screen right there. Again, room for a 9th offensive lineman. A lot of teams like to carry 9 just to have an extra depth there, as those guys can get injured and be in and out of the lineup. And the Steelers have had, lackluster play the past year, and so having some more depth there is not a bad thing. But I think 8 right now, with Green being the one to keep an eye on to see where he ends up. Okay, like this video if you guys think the Steelers will have a top 15 offense in 2022. That's going to be very, very interesting in my opinion, because it's so hard to break down what they were last year because they had so much potential, but the offensive line wasn't that great. Big Ben wasn't that great at times, and so can they now be a top 15 team with the revamped offensive line, with the new wide receiver additions, with the new quarterback? Who knows? If you guys think they will be, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get to the defense here in just 1 second. First, you own a terrible towel, right? You don't? Like, if you don't own a terrible towel, what are you doing? We have a solution for you. Pick up your terrible towel right now at the link on your screen and also down below in the description box. Chatsports.com/terrible towel. Multiple options to choose from. Get it in time for the season. You're going to your first Steeler game this year? You know the drill, right? You got to wave the terrible towel around. Pick one up right now. Hang it up on your wall or keep it ready to go for your next Steelers game. If you don't have one yet, are you truly a Steeler fan? Down below in the description box. Pick it up right now. Chatsports.com/terrible towel. Okay, defensive line, obviously here in the 3-4. Hayward, Loudermilk, and DeMarvin Leal. Throw in Chris Wormley. Montravius Adams will be on the depth chart as well. I think 6 defensive linemen overall. Leal is the guy to keep an eye on during training camp. Hayward is obviously going to go ahead and be the starter, but I think Leal has a lot of expectations. Formerly should have been a first-round draft pick, had a lackluster final year at Texas A&M, third-round pick for the Steelers. I think he can be a boom or a bust kind of guy, and if he booms, it makes the defensive line a lot better. He can play inside and outside, but obviously listed as a D tackle. He's going to be the guy to watch on the Steelers' defensive line. Defensive ends, we get into here, kind of the outside linebackers, pass rusher guys. Obviously, Watt. They bring over Jannard Avery from Philadelphia. Highsmith is still there. Looking at Tyree Johnson as well to round out our 6 defensive linemen, or I should say pass rushers, whatever you want to call them. But Watt's the focus here. Not a lot of surprise. I think it's going to be very, very simple. How confident are you in the Steelers' defense? Scale of 1 to 10. I asked earlier if the Steelers were the top 15 offense. How's their defense looking? 1 to 10, give me your rating on how good you think they are. I'm at a 7 or an 8. I think they're going to be the better group than the offense, depending on how the quarterbacks play. They still have a couple of holes here and there, but I do think the defense is going to be a little bit better. Hopefully a lot better against the run, but a little better than where they were last season. Okay, inside linebackers, not a lot of competition here. Bush and Miles Jack will be your 2 starters. Obviously, Allen, Mark Robinson, and Robert Spillane are going to be there as well. The focus and emphasis here is Devin Bush and kind of his final hurrah as a Pittsburgh Steeler. Like, it's do or die now. You want to get that big contract extension. You want to stay with the team that drafted you. Got to play well this year. And they brought in Miles Jack to push him and hopefully help him out. That's kind of the thought process there, bringing him over from Jacksonville. Jack needs to have a good year as well. Kind of a down year a little bit last year with the Jaguars, but Bush is the big focus here. And if he improves, you give him a new contract, you say thank you, you finally figure things out. If he stays as he's played, then probably donezo for Devin Bush, and they will look for a new linebacker, most likely in the draft, to pair with Miles Jack. Okay, cornerbacks are pretty much set. We know it will be Witherspoon and Wallace, in my opinion, as your 2 starters on the outside. Sutton can compete for that spot. I think maybe the nickel could be more of a home for him. Pierre will be in there as well. Arthur Mallett, is going to be a backup. But Witherspoon and Levi Wallace are your 2 starters, and I think that's pretty much set in stone, barring an injury or, Cam Sutton balling out on the outside during training camp. Safeties, again, pretty set. Minka and Terrell Edmonds. You also have DeMonte KZ and Miles Killebrew. They're pretty set at safety, and they have been with Minka there at the helm. Again, not a lot to break down because we feel pretty confident in terms of those being the 4 safeties for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Finally, your special teams guys. Again, not a lot of drama here. You have Boswell and Harvin as your guys who are going to go ahead and be your kicker and your punter and your long snapper, and then obviously your kick returner as well. Not a lot of drama here. It should be very, very simple on who are your Pittsburgh Steelers special teams guys, with Boswell leading the way as the kicker. There you go. Again, it's early, and I got to emphasize that because things are going to change and depth chart positions are going to change, and I guarantee you, you bookmark this video, you fast forward into training camp, and there will be massive differences between where I had the 53-man roster right now and where they're actually going to be, but I wanted to get an early swing at it because I do think that we're starting to kind of learn some things as training camp gets closer and OTAs are wrapping up and you got mini camps going on, and so that's my best guess. We'll see if I'm right, and we'll obviously keep an update and follow this as it progresses. For our Pittsburgh Steelers Newsroom 53-man roster projection video, I am Thomas Mott, signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day.